Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. It's your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly for pricing at tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we are discussing an extraordinarily beautiful form watch launched by Laurent Ferrier back in 2019. This is the Bridge One, inspired by Geneva's Passerelle de Lille. It is a timepiece that is literally emblematic of Geneva Bridge architecture. It's also the first form watch from Laurent Ferrier, and a timepiece that is full of grace and nuance. So in stainless steel, as you see it right here, the Bridge One measures 34.4 millimeters at its widest point, which is the edge of the lugs at each end. In the middle, it measures 30 millimeters, not including the crown. Now, it's fairly thin, all things considered. The watch measures a remarkably slender 12.5 millimeters, which is close to a Rolex Daytona, but keep in mind that that is the distance from crystal to crystal. The lugs do extend the total height a little bit. From end to end, the watch is 47.8 millimeters, which is actually shorter than I expected just by the side of it, and has a very broad 24 millimeter spacing between the lugs. As you can see, beautiful timepiece on both sides. There are differences between the enamel dial version of this watch and the grained slate gray that you see here, and we'll talk about those in a moment. The first thing I want to highlight is that the lugs flow around the wrist, and the curvature of the case mitigates against the usual size issues that afflict form watches. So a lot of times rectangular watches wear huge. This one doesn't really. Think of it as about a 40 millimeter round watch, and you get the basic idea. My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see the watch wears well. I'd recommend it for a wrist as small as about 14 centimeters in circumference, and you can see it is flat enough to fit underneath the cuff. The strap is of high grade. As you can see, it's suede on the bottom, alligator leather on the top, semi-gloss, black with a monotone stitch. You can see there are folded edges, and we have a lovely fluid-formed steel Laurent Ferrier pin buckle. The case is all of high polish, and for that reason, it betrays every fingerprint. It's in outstanding condition and unmarred. You're going to have to take my word for it. I'm doing my best to polish it, but because it is so mirror polished, it's going to show absolutely every detail. Now, the lugs are beautifully downturned with a little bit of a teardrop droop, but you can also see that there's a remarkable curvature to the case, not just end to end, but also out at both ends. The lugs flare. The crown, adapted from other Laurent Ferrier watches, is a sort of vintage-inspired onion crown, and we have this dramatically stepped and cambered sapphire that sits over the dial, and you can see it's been faceted on each side, which adds to the beauty and the subtlety. The watch wins you by degrees. Now, there are differences between this slate gray grained dial and the off-white enamel dial. So first, this is not enamel. Second, this has the exclusive small seconds display, whereas the enamel version does not have a seconds display, and that sets the two apart. You can see little eye-shaped members have been used to denote the hours, and then we have an applied white gold Roman numeral 12 plus white gold assegai style hands and a counterweighted lancet seconds hand. Over on the reverse side, we have a gorgeous caliber Laurent Ferrier 107.01, manual wind, 80-hour power reserve. You can see it's adjusted in 6 positions and free sprung for durability. It does have a overcoil hairspring, and it beats away at 21,600 vibrations per hour. Now, the watch has a remarkably beautiful winding click. You can see the little spring that prevents the barrel from moving backwards atop the ratchet wheel, which itself tops the barrel. You can see that little linear black polished bar, and everything on this watch is finished to that standard. You can see broad, light, and luminous gradiated Côte de Genève. They have a dark to light gradient from side to side, perfectly aligned across the bridges. You can see that the bevels are a mile wide and gorgeous, and Laurent Ferrier does not shy away from interior angles. You can see that we have 2 of them, front and center. That's the point where 2 bevels meet to form a sharp interior cleft. We have ruthenium coating across all of the bridges, as well as the base plate, which also includes engine turning. The bevels really are something to behold, as they are a mile wide and some of the finest you'll find. The screw heads are all black polished with chamfered slots and chamfered circumference. And then we have a snap case back here that gives you 30 meters of water resistance, which is pretty much much par for a dress watch. Laurent Ferrier making between 170 and 200 watches a year, an ultra haute de gamme independent manufacturer that I think has been overlooked for the quality it yields. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.